Into Black is hands down one of the best games that I've ever played on Quest. It reminds me a lot of Deep Rock Galactic because of how many similarities these games share. For example, your main gameplay loop in both games is exploration of cave systems, from simple ones to incredibly complex, in which you will mine for resources, meet some local fauna, as you can see, some of which is really harmless and almost cute, I would say, but some of them are just angry alien bugs. So naturally, you have to fight them. You also have to usually complete some mission objectives. And after that, endure a short yet action-packed and kinda nerve-wracking extraction sequence. But beer-chugging space dwarves are nowhere to be found in this game. You take on a role of an astronaut that got stranded along with his spaceship on a weird planet that has some kind of gravitational anomaly about it that won't let you leave. You can also be a team of astronauts that got stranded on this planet if you play with your buddies in co-op. So, this gravitational anomaly that won't let you leave seems to be affecting the time itself in unexpected ways. And it's up to you and your talkative robot that is silent right now for some reason, or you and your buddies to uncover this planet's mysteries. And I would say the story of this game is simple, but it's good sci-fi sprinkled with the bits of humor here and there. I would say playing the story campaign feels like playing Stanislav Lem's novel. There are so many ways to gather resources in Into Black, all of them incredibly satisfying. So, to gather plants, you have this thing called an energy whip. It looks fantastic, and you have to do a whipping motion to gather this mushroom, for example. Also, you have items like these eggs that you have to catch to get them into your inventory. If it falls, it just splashes and you get nothing. You also have your mining laser that you're already pretty familiar with. It works more or less like any other mining laser would work. But it also features more exotic stuff. Like, for example, this thing. The Vortex Grenade. You can mine with it groups of small resources in more efficient way than you would be doing otherwise. But it's not only mining lasers and harvesting grenades. You can also use your pickaxe. And I like the design quite a bit, but I have one bone to pick with this pickaxe. It should feel like it has more weight to it. I can just flung it around willy-nilly without catching any resistance, without feeling anything. But it has one more upside to it. It can be actually thrown. To harvest these kind of resources in a more efficient manner. But the game doesn't limit you to mining tools to use for mining. For example, I can mine with my shotgun. So you have plenty of options here. There is something for each type of player. I know there are people that are very religious about how they like to mine for some reason. There is a debate that I've seen recently on X about what's the best way of mining, with the pickaxe or with these kind of ray guns. So this game kinda has a little bit of everything. After several story missions, when you've got your bearings already and upgraded your suit a little bit, Into Black turns into a movement shooter, and a very good one at that. To be honest, I've never seen VR games nail movement like this. Not even once. It doesn't feature any like crazy outlandish mechanics like wall running or shoot dodging, and it functions on a fairly simple principle. It kind of feels the same movement-wise as Doom Eternal and Doom Eternal inspired movement shooters. So you have a little bit of sprint to give your jumps some momentum. You have double jump that can be upgraded to a triple jump, which I of course did immediately as fast as I could. And you also have a dash that can cancel your momentum mid-air and make you move in a desired direction. The story of this game features ancient civilizations, so you can walk into some ruins and some pretty interesting looking artifacts. And you can gain more knowledge about what all this shit does by scanning it. And in the same manner, you get yourself pieces of lore that you can read. Just look at this beauty. To harvest this material, you have to be very accurate with throwing your vortex grenades. Yeah, something like that. Oh shit. Come on. Woohoo! Wonderful. Fantastic. To harvest this orchid-looking flower, you have to play a little bit of snapping game. So you have to hold your whip in a balance of tension, and then you get some flowers. Caves are mostly lit well enough for you to don't use any external illumination. But there are certain parts of these caves that are almost pitch black. So you have to use your flashlight, and maybe even flares that your flashlight can launch. Which is again a gameplay element that is very similar to Deep Rock Galactic. But it's not as commonly used as in Deep Rock Galactic. Because again, most of the caves are lit well enough. Now I have to show you something else. You have the minimap on your wrist that can help you orientate through these caves, but some cave systems are really complex and you can easily get lost. So you can just throw it on the ground and you have yourself like a Star Wars style hologram in 3D. Oh shit! Yeah, sometimes bugs just attack. So it's the mechanic that's coming really handy in various situations. Especially it's valuable in co-op, I would say. If your run requires some teamwork and you have to talk beforehand about who goes where. Interesting. A monster that looks like an alien, but his HP bar says that he's a predator. How could that be? Well, none of my business really. I have to heal. What I love the most about Into Black is that every interaction in this game is incredibly pleasant. Literally, everything you do feels like an ASMR and has a very good feedback. This is one of the examples. You have to solve this kind of puzzles to repair some stuff, to open some chests and whatnot. This is a very simple example of that. In fact, even I can nail it, being a spatial idiot I am. Yes, this was simple enough. What do we have here? A bunch of loot. How wonderful. Maybe I will even upgrade my gear a little bit. Some levels feature these huge underwater sections that remind me a lot of Subnautica, but just without oxygen mechanics. I'm completely fine with having oxygen mechanics in games about survival and collecting resources, but it's nice to not have them for a change, to have water just as another medium you can travel through. Oh my god, this fish is so angry and ugly, just like your mom! Wow, that was close. I'm here on a resource run for one very rare and precious commodity. Specifically, the black pearls. Look at this beauty. Unfortunately, you can't carry a lot of them at once. Let's talk a little bit about graphics. The environments in Into Black look gorgeous, just absolutely freaking fantastic. They are extremely good at evoking the feeling of being on an alien planet, in alien ecosystem. Visiting these environments is somewhat akin to if you would visit like planet Pandora from Avatar. Really good stuff. But if you shove your eyes close enough to these textures, you can see that they are not very high definition, and 3D models themselves wouldn't look out of place in like a PlayStation 2 title, for example. But I think it's the good thing. I've stopped caring about graphical fidelity a long while ago. And I would prefer more games like Into Black, like Crashland, like Ancient Dungeon, that go for deliberate low-poly, lo-fi art style and make these gorgeous environments for a very well-optimized games. I would prefer that to seeing more games like Hard Bullet or Blade and Sorcery, though I love both of those games, but they are very bad at smoothing things, at optimization. So I would prefer more games like Into Black. And Into Black is extremely well optimized. It runs smoothly as butter. And immersion doesn't come from like extreme levels of detail or like crazy texture resolutions. It comes from a good game mechanics, a good optimization. It comes from a lot of elements coming together really well that are not in any way related to graphical fidelity. As you can see, we don't have options for graphics at all here. However, I don't think in case of Into Black it's necessary to have them at all. Because game runs so fucking smoothly, you don't even want to adjust anything really. And usually I'm getting very grumpy about not having options for graphics or controls, but in this particular case, I think it's completely forgivable. Of course, models of guns and items from your inventory, as well as models of your hands, are far more detailed than the environment, and I love the designs of them very fucking much. Everything looks beautiful because anything that is sci-fi looks beautiful to me. Let's talk about inventory system a little bit. So Into Black is full-on akimbo. You will not perform here any complicated tasks like holding a gun with two hands, no manual reloading, no stuff like that. Just one item per hand. And what you're seeing right now before you is the kind of round menu that allows you to choose which items from your inventory you're going to use in each of your hands. And these loadouts, they could be edited, they could be branched, not indefinitely, but you can take a lot with you, and you can make it easily accessible to you through this round menu. What basically makes Into Black a game that I would absolutely recommend for beginners, because no complicated stuff, no manual reloading. And I've always been a guy who loves to run around with rifles and manually reload them. But in case of Into Black, even though I don't like always akimbo style games very much, usually, in case of Into Black, it's a completely logical way to deal with how your inventory works. Now I want to familiarize you a little with escape sequence. So, you have to spend a little of your resources to craft this thing that's called the extractor. And then you're placing a zone in which you have to stay in order for this timer to count to 0 and teleport you to your ship. And as soon as you place this thing, monsters start to come out and attack you. But you have to stay inside this zone if you want to go home. Alright, doing quite well. Alright, only 10 seconds left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go home, baby. And the expedition is complete. Wonderful. Fantastic. Now, this is our ship. And it's also our main hub area. And I wanted to show you something just as a cherry on top of the mountain that's called why I recommend this game to anyone. So, as you can see, it's a holiday season. It's Christmas season. And it's always fucking bugs me so much in games about like stranded astronauts or warframes or some other outlandish shit. How does the Christmas tree gets here? Where exactly do we get the tree in fucking here? Who brought the presents? Where did I find the fucking socks? I'm getting so pissed every time that games that are thematically very seriously disconnected from like any kind of Christmas or Halloween, if lore makes this celebrations impossible, it takes me out of immersion completely. And Into Black has just one button to solve all this crap. You just disable holiday themes and poof, gone. No fucking Christmas for Walter the Jester. Thank you very much. I can be immersed in this world again. I think every game should give you the option like this. And I hate it when they don't. By the way, if you shoot this little fella, it flies away in a very funny trajectory. Yeah, look at this. Whee! Oh my god. Poor guy. Okay, so I could show you more of a crafting, I could show you fabricators, I could talk more about the lore and the story, but I think that I've shown you enough for you to know why this game is good. I can't recommend this game enough, both for beginners and for seasoned VR veterans. Into Black is worth $30 in Meta Horizon store. And it can seem kinda pricey for a VR title with low poly aesthetics, but I can't emphasize this point enough. We have to have more games like this. As soon as you try it out, you'll immediately understand what you've paid for, and it's much better to have like $30 games that are well optimized, almost bug-free, and that have a soul, a style and flair to them, then have like a $50 or $40 slop with incredibly detailed environments that you can barely enjoy playing. Well, that's about it. I was Walter the Jester. This was Into Black gameplay review, more or less. So please, if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, consider subscribing to my channel, maybe writing something, just anything in the comment section, cause YouTube is fucking nuts lately. Thank you for your attention. Jester out.